To help make writing the Boolean expressions a little bit easier to comprehend, we're going to look at writing expressions in terms of minterms and max terms. We're going to use midterms for sum of products. We're going to use max terms when we want a product of sums result. Okay, so let's start off and you have A, B, C. We're making some truth table. And in this truth table, let's say we have a couple ones and some zeros. And I want to express Z as some expression. All right, how would we go about doing this is we would say, okay, I could write it two different ways. If I want SOP, I want to solve for when Z is equal to 1. What we did last time was I took this value right here. I said, how do I express that? I said that was going to be an A bar, a B bar, and a C bar. Because that's when it was a 0, and a 0. Since I'm looking for ones, I take the opposite case for each of these. Then I will order it with the next case. That would be A bar, B bar, C, because that's 0, 0, 1. All right, what I'm going to try to do is I want to make these values have meaning to them. It might be easier for me to solve knowing what zeros and ones I need to be able to solve for. So let's start looking at that item. And let's just look at ABC. And we write down each of these terms. And I want to look at over here, I want what is the decimal number? 0, 0, 0, that's decimal 0. 0, 0, 1, that's decimal number 1. Decimal 2, decimal 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is kind of like why we want to write everything numerically increasing by 1. Because when I do that, what I'm going to do in addition is I'm going to express everything in terms of being a midterm or a max term. Now, the difference is going to be midterms will always use a lowercase m, and a max term will use a capital M. So for 0, 0, 0, I can express this as little m0 to say that's midterm 0, or big M0 to say that's midterm, max term 0. The next case, it's little m1, big M1. Little m2, big M2. Little m3, big M3. Little m4, big M4. Little m5, big M5. Little m6, big M6. Little m7, big M7. Now, why is this items are important? Because if I had that truth table that we started off with, and I wanted to solve this as the expression, instead of writing out A bar, B bar, C bar, I can write it out as what midterms I want. So I want sum of products. I'm looking at the ones, and I'm going to say which midterms make up that. That's little m0. 001 is little m1. The next one would be little m4, little m5. If I want product of sums, what am I going to look for? I'm going to look for where there are zeros, and those are capital M's. Big M2, big M3, big M6, big M7. So with that, I can say, okay, if I want to write this expression out, I want to sum a product expression, I can say Z is little m0 plus little m1 plus little m4 plus little m5. Because I'm just, everything's a product and I'm adding them up together. Or what I can do is I can write it as the sum of little m's, and then in parentheses, I'm going to write just the decimal numbers. So I need midterm 0, 1, 4, and 5. Or what if I wanted it as a product of sums? Product of sums, okay, I'm going to say Z is, here I have sums and I want to multiply them together. So I want to say it's big M2, and it with big M3, and it with big M6, and it with big M7. So we use sigma to do a summation. We're going to use a big pi to do multiplication. So we're going to say we're going to multiply 2, 3, 6, and 7 together. And this is how we're going to use midterms and max terms to help us in writing down expressions a little bit easier. Okay, I could go from a truth table to midterms, and maybe I'm going to want to go from an expression to a midterm. All right, let's say I have something like the following. Let's say I have Z, and Z is A bar, B bar, plus A, C bar. Okay, so the first thing I want to know is, what are my variables? Well, we have 3. We have A, we have B, and we have C. And I want to write the expression in terms of midterms. So midterms is, if I want little m0, I want an A bar, a B bar, and a C bar. We need 3 variables. Well, if I look at this equation, I don't have 3 variables. Everything has 2 variables. Well, I'm going to have to expand the equation. We're going to need to expand to 3 variables to find the midterms. All right, well, how do we expand this? Well, if I take one of these items, let's say I have A bar, B bar, that's the same as saying I have A bar, B bar, and it with a 1. I can always end it with a 1. Ending it with a 1 is no big problem, because we had those theorems that said X ended with 1 is just X. Well, a 1, I can also use a theorem to expand what a 1 looks like. A 1 will look like it's C or a C bar, because we had a theorem that said X plus X bar is equal to 1. So I'm just using these theorems. All right, so let's do that. Let's use these theorems to expand. Okay, so we're going to use it to expand. Okay, we already see what the first one's going to be. I'm going to do end it with 1. Well, that is A bar, B bar, and I'm going to expand it to be C or C bar. Then I'm going to multiply in. So A bar, B bar, C, and an A bar, B bar, C bar. All right, then I got to work on this last one here. Okay, let me multiply that with a 1. Well, when I multiply that one with a 1, what variables do I need? In that case, I need a B, so I'm going to do B and B bar. All right, so then I'll multiply in. There's A, B, C bar, and then A, B bar, C. All right, and now at this point, we have all three variables. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if it has a bar, I know that terms is 0. So A0, B0, C0. Oop, I made a mistake. So this should not have a bar over it. Okay, so A0, B0, a 1, a 0, 0, 0, a 1, and a 0, and then a 1, a 0, and a 1. All right, so I take this, and I'm going to figure out what number that is. This is decimal number 1. That's decimal number 0. Decimal number 6. Decimal number 5. Okay, so once I have those numbers, then I can say Z is, let's first do with M's. The first term is M1 plus M0, little m's, plus little m6 plus little m5. So I can say it's a summation of, and let's just put these in numeric order, 0, 1, 5, and 6. So we can always, add in the extra terms that we need to get to the three variables. All right, let's say we wanted to go into max terms. Right, so let's say we have Z, and this time let's put in parentheses A, B, C, so we know what letters we're dealing with. And let's say our term is just A plus C. We have a single term. Well, I need three variables. So how am I going to expand that? Okay, I'm going to say it's A plus C plus a 0. Okay, I can always add in a 0 in this case. The 0 is not going to change what the equation evaluates to. So how can I get 0 in terms of B? Well, B ended with a B bar can get you a 0. Okay, so then we have that item. So we're going to do substitution here. We're going to say A plus C is X, B is a Y, and B bar is a Z. And that ends up being X plus Y, X plus Z. Okay, so then we're going to substitute back in. X is A plus C plus Y, which is B. And then A plus C plus Z, which is B bar. Right, let's just write on numerically. A, B, C. A plus B bar plus C. Okay, now we need to know what numbers they're going to have. Remember, if we're solving for 0, a 0 is the letter without a bar. So this is 0, 0, 0. This is 0, 1, and a 0. So 0, 0, 0, that's number 0. 0, 1, 0, that is number 2. So we can say Z of A, B, and C is big M0 with big M2, or it's pi of big M 0 and 2. So we can see how we can take an expression and convert them into midterms and max terms.